been doing this for a long time now. Help them start to rebuild.
Welcome back, babe.
Thank you.
So, obviously it's fitting to bring you on for the first episode of the series called Queen's Gambit. I mean, who better than my queen, the queen of my family, the queen of my kingdom.
Thanks, babe.
You've been on the podcast before. This is the first time you're on the video. One thing I want to explain first before anything is the meaning of the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
And I think to go alongside as a parallel to the King's Disease episode that everybody saw with Angelo, I wanted to have a series about motherhood and about mothers. Not only mothers, but the energy of a woman that is in charge of raising kids, birthing children, and raising the next generation of people. The Queen's Gambit just ended up being the name because in chess, right, there's a play called The Queen's Gambit where there's a sacrifice on the queen's side of the board. Yeah. Or at least there's a move on the queen's side of the board that potentially can be a sacrifice for the win, right? And it just made sense to me to relate that to motherhood. I've seen you grow as a mother this past year and a half, and I want to acknowledge that there's a lot of sacrifice that happens becoming a mom. You know, I've seen it firsthand. So the Queen's Gambit is about the giving and the sacrifice of a woman that creates this new side of her that I've seen in you about becoming a mom.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, a lot of people right now are, they're having kids, and we see them and their children and how much they're giving. And it always brings me back to like when Mela was first born and things like that and all the changes that happen.
Yeah.
So I want to welcome you to the Queen's Gambit, the first episode of the series, babe.
Thanks.
I did have like this series of, I guess, questions or topics in regards to the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
And this is a little awkward because obviously I'm right here, but one of the first things that I would think would play into the head of any woman, is how to pick that partner to start a family with. It's a little awkward because I'm right here.
To choose who
So I guess who would you choose, or how did you choose the person to start a family with?
I mean, thinking about our situation, and we started really young. And I was just in junior high, and we became friends more because of church.
Yep.
So it's just crazy. I think our story, in my opinion, is different, going to be different from others.
Yeah.
But thinking about it, we started young, and you don't think about that stuff yet, or I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, when we started talking and getting to know each other, obviously we built that relationship, that friendship. So, and we've been together for, 16 years already?
Yeah.
And along the way, you just develop that love for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, growing together just made me see that, even a few years since, when we started, I did grow to obviously love you, and just to have that relationship and that trust and just getting to know each other made me feel like, okay, I can see myself spending the rest of my life with you and this person. And I could see us, having our own family and having kids, and seeing and knowing who you are and the type of person you are. That's the type of person that I wanted for my family, or to build a family with. So
what would you say those traits are that you would look for?
For one thing,
and this is, of course, you, right? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
everybody has their own opinion,
Yeah,
and
of course.
So.
I mean, for me, it's I guess with my personality, it depends on the person's personality, especially the women. And my personality is really shy, you know, for people who I first meet and stuff, but I'm not like the most outgoing person. But so for me, I wanted a man that would be able to take care of me, who I could not just do everything for me, but who would take that role of being a man and wanting to provide for, you know, for me, for their kids and our family, and just taking that role as like a typical man that you would like think of, like strong, hardworking, strong-willed. And I mean, that's just like a few things that I can really think of. And just having to feel protected and safe, especially when we're out, you know. I mean, it's me and Mela, but, you know, obviously didn't know that we were going to have a girl first. But knowing that, I wanted to feel protected and safe. Like if we're walking down, like at night or something, I want to be able to feel safe that, like, if something happens, you're going to be able to protect me. Not just some, like, coward that's just going to run away. Yeah. Or, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously, of course, you know, us being young, we grew into the people that we are now. Yeah. Or I think in those certain points when we were in our relationship, when we would go to like concerts and stuff, like I think I naturally felt that need and that desire to be that type of person. Yeah. Of course, everybody's different, and you know, like you said, you know, other women want something else. Other people have different preferences and identities and things like that. So there is this balance of masculine and feminine between us, and it's not like, oh, like I have to be overly masculine or you have to be overly feminine. It's more of the balance of the two. Yeah. To create this one being, this one energy, right? And I mean, I would honestly think that, you know, I would that I do have a feminine side. I'm a very sensitive, emotional person too. I do have a shy side, but when we did get together, it was more of the balance of us, you know. And it was a natural thing where I wanted to develop that kind of not only like physical capability, but also the logical and emotional capability of, you know, being a father or being the man of somebody else, you know. And I think it just worked at that point. And I would say I would attribute that to us being just honest and open of who we are and being in tune with what our lives called for at certain times. It's not like I went out of my way to do certain things, or I tried to take control of my life and learn certain things so that I could be, you know, masculine, or I could be whatever it is, physically capable to defend people or to like fight or whatever. It just staying in tune with that. Yeah. Which is the same thing that I know you grew into also, was that you were always the caring one. You were always the one that was able to allow me to rest my head on your lap when I was stressed out, when I was worried about something. You also have this ability to listen, and you have this emotional intelligence that I've told you about a lot, where that's one of your gifts, is that you have this intuition of knowing and understanding people's emotions. And that's where I learned a lot from, with work, right? I mean, being a nurse, I tried to develop this sense of empathy for people, and it had to be shaped. It had to be, I had to learn from all the situations that I dealt with, and I learned a lot from you on how you deal with people's emotions and the best way to go about certain things, because you have to be in tune with the other person's emotion. Yeah. You know, and it softened me up to a point of you know, taking a step back first and assessing the situation and trying to understand what people are going through. Yeah. Because I think in my mind and in my, you know, like my lineage, the people that are like me, it's more of just like, you know, suck it up. Like, this is what we got to do. Yeah. But I think you gave me this balance of, no, like, you know, we have to understand where people are coming from first. And that's definitely a gift. And I would say that, I mean, would you say that that's a one of the gifts and characteristics of a mother? or of a woman?
I believe so. Because, I mean, as a female, we tend to just have that sensitive side and that like nurturing and caring aspect, that personality. And I just think it comes naturally. So like having a kid now, it does change you in a way where it comes out more, but at the same time, like for me, like I told you before, it kind of made me stronger in a way where obviously with like discipline.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you have to be caring. You have to, especially like a kid, you have to put yourself in their shoes. They, especially at Mella's age right now, they don't know exactly how to communicate and tell you what they want.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to like, I know it's hard, like having patience, but especially with Mella, but I just feel like having that caring side and that nurturing, I think it helps build that family that we want and that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you're the male and you're the father, you're the husband. But what I appreciate too is that you're not just like overbearing and trying to just always be that like strong man all the time. And like what you said, there's times when you're emotional and you're not afraid to show your emotion.
Yeah.
And I like that too. Like, especially being together, having kids now, we want to be able to show and communicate with each other and show our kids that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be happy, excited, just to show those different emotions. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what we're talking about obviously is very sensitive nowadays. And I know that there's this big conversation about gender roles and how, anybody is capable of anything. I think what I understand even more now is that there are differences. Like, men and women are different. And I'm not trying to fight against any movement or anything. This is how we naturally feel and how we grew together and what we understand about starting a family now. Without even trying to put a label on it.
Yeah.
This is what it is for us, right? So I mean, of course, being sensitive to everybody's feelings and thoughts about that. I definitely think that there are strengths and there's a balance of our strengths, right? One being you having that emotional intuition and intelligence, and also understanding that it's not my biggest strength, to be honest with you. I always thought I was like a very patient person.
Yeah.
Especially with work, like in nursing. But coming home, it's like, this is our domain, right? So it's a reality check for me to have a daughter who her attitude is coming out more. And I do feel that sense of losing my patience a lot.
Yeah.
And I really have to stifle it. I really have to take it and swallow it and not react. And rather than react, respond.
Yeah.
But I think that's a strength that you have that I'm trying to learn still, that I'm trying to sharpen. It was a natural thing, it seemed like, for you. I mean, you work with kids, but you grew up taking care of kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I definitely see like you have this just innate patience and understanding right away. And that's something I'm still learning. And not to say like I'm just like aggressive all the time or whatever, or like I feel like, like disciplining her all the time. No, but I mean, of course, what plays a role is how we were raised also.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'll be honest, like I got spanked as a kid, man. Like, but you were saying that you were never spanked.
I'm a good girl.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, you were. No, see, but I grew up in that kind of environment where it's like, yeah, that's the discipline. You get the belt or the slipper or whatever it was, right? And knowing that, times have changed, but not only that there are other ways to discipline your kids or to help them learn, right? So that's something I'm learning right now, like how to discipline our child without resorting to, spanking and stuff like that.
Yeah, same here. And that's another thing about like parenthood and motherhood is discipline. It's like, what's the right way? What's the wrong way to discipline?
Yeah.
And of course, like as human beings, we're human. We lose our patience. We get mad. We get upset. And of course, like looking at Mela, you know, we both lose our patience. And it's like, if I come home from work, like I had like a really rough day.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's already cranky. Like she's just whiny. I'm like, okay, Mela, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And of course, like I snap, but you know, like I feel bad, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't, like, you know, you're just so tired, and
Yeah.
it's like, I do feel bad when that happens.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and it's just crazy, like thinking about like with Mela, with any kid, yeah, you get mad at them, but the crazy part is that the next day or like a few minutes later, they still love you. And
Yeah.
like they don't hold that against you.
Yeah. There's no grudge.
Yeah, there's no grudge. And I just, you know, and I just try to think about like they're innocent and they don't know better. Like we know better. But at the same time, I feel like it's normal and I feel like it's okay if that happens. Doesn't mean like you're a bad mom, you're a bad dad. If that happens, it's like, I feel like we also have the right to, you know,
To be normal.
Yeah,
to be
to
a
be
human.
normal, yeah.
I get it. Like that's exactly it. It's okay.
yeah.
But we're always working on it,
Of
obviously. You said something earlier that kind of struck me a little bit because, again, with this whole thing, like with sensitivity to everybody's ideas and everything, the saying used to go like, I think, the man can build the house, but the woman can make it a home.
Oh, yeah, you said something.
Well, I mean, that's a saying from
Yeah.
the past or whatever. So it's like, when you build a home, the way I felt about it was, yeah, like I obviously like this, you know, our environment is huge, right? Like the environment we're gonna have Mela grow up in, it's important. What does it mean to build a home for a family in your mind?
For me, I think just keeping the family together and just building that relationship. You know how like we are. Like you said, yeah, like I have like that nurturing, caring side. And I feel like just showing the family like our love and, you know, teaching Amela, like our daughter now, you know, just how to be respectful for one thing and
Yeah.
just showing her love and just making sure that we're all okay.
Yeah.
And you also play a big role in that too, and communicating. I think you're better at communicating than I am, but I don't know. It's just
No, like what you're saying right now, it does resonate with me, or what I understand with my family, and you know, like even to my grandma. Like I feel like the moms are like the glue of the family. That no matter what, like yeah, obviously like times have changed, so we both work full time and things like that. But I think the mom is the glue. I feel like the mom is the glue between the father and the children. And or at least with all the relationships in the family. And it's super important to note that, you know, obviously like we have our own, you know, capabilities, and we have our own desires, and we have our own emotions to bring to the table. We have our own skills, but there's something very innate about being the glue of the family. And I look at my family, I look at, you know, how my grandma was, she really was the glue.
yeah.
And I think it's because of that emotional intelligence. It's because of understanding that, you know, like I might be acting a certain way. And you see the depth of that. You see, not just because like I'm just being like, you know, an a-hole about stuff. Like you understand that there's emotions that are at play here. And then you see Amela acting a certain way. And you're looking at both of us, and I feel like you understand both, and you know how to tie us together in this moment. I don't know I mean, that's what I see. I don't know if you do that intentionally or you naturally
No,
do that.
I mean, I don't do it purposefully, but if,
Yeah.
you know, it's nice to know if
Yeah.
that's how you see it.
That's how I feel. Man. Because, I mean, we're all like kind of in our own worlds or whatever. when I would think about like my mom or my grandma, it was more of having that understanding that everyone's in their own place right now. Especially like with my family, like there's 4 of us siblings. And then, you know, my dad has this certain way of thinking, a certain attitude. My older brother, my younger brother, we have our own way of thinking, a certain attitude. And then the baby of our family is Avagine, right? She's the baby girl. And we're all like in our own spaces in life and our own phases in life.
Yeah.
I think I can acknowledge that my mom had this idea of where everyone was at, and we can still all sit down together and still have this conversation and still be able to find the common ground. And I attribute that to something that's natural in a woman.
Yeah. And I think too, the fact that we bear the children, we have a different connection. Like obviously us being husband and wife, we have a different connection.
Yeah.
And us women carrying our kids, like we just, like what I said before, like our relationship is different from like a mother to their kids, from a father to the kids. Not saying it's better or one's better than the other, but it's just different.
It is different.
And I feel like that's why, if, you know, you saying that, I think that's why the mother of the family has that certain relationship and how you view, like how they view making a house a home.
Yeah.
And keeping it that way. So I think that's like a big.
I mean, carrying a child, like I'm trying to understand like that feeling, or, you know, to know the different changes that you go through physically. I mean, you ask any parent out there, whether it's a dad or a mom, it's like, what's that first sacrifice that, you know, the mother gives? I mean, if you ask me, what I saw was like, you gave your body, you gave everything to this new life. And I think you acknowledge all the time, like your body's different now. It's changed.
So true. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah. I don't know how deep you want to go with bodily changes, but you even acknowledged to me that it's never going to be the same again.
No, I have no shame. I mean,
and you've asked me like, you know, like, is it different?
No, yeah. I like no shame. Like physically, it took a big toll on like my body.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared for it. Like me having like a small stature, or, you know, like a small build. I didn't think that my body would change the way it did. Like having stretch marks like on my stomach, like my breast, like, you know, because breastfeeding, like
this is to acknowledge you tried all this stuff, like whatever, like what is it, cocoa butter and all this
I've
stuff.
done like everything, like oils, lotions, everything and anything you can think of. But I learned that it's genetics. No matter whatever you put on your body, like you can still end up with stretch marks. And I feel like I'm exhibit A, where I did everything every day. Yeah. But I still ended up with stretch marks, and my breasts are like totally different. They're like uneven, and you know, it's from breastfeeding.
Let me see. No, okay, but then, I mean, that considered the physical change of that alone. Yeah. I mean, I think what I saw with you and a lot of women, it's like you learn to embrace that. Yeah.
They call it what is it?
Earning your
stripes.
Earning your stripes.
And I feel like there is that stigma with women whose bodies changes after having kids. And it's like people body shame them. Yeah. Or like having cellulite, having stretch marks, not going back to their pre-baby weight or pre-baby body. And obviously, like with me, like I felt that way too. Like my body's never going to be the same. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable in like my own skin, but I've learned to just embrace it.
Well, how did you get to that place of accepting it, embracing it?
I think just looking at our life now and looking at Mela and like how I had to sacrifice that, like my own personal body, my own personal image. And it's not like I was so worried about it, but even if at that time I didn't feel comfortable like in my body, just looking at Mela, it's like it was worth it. Yeah. And I know a lot of like moms feel that way. And, you know, it's hard. It's like that's like another change, like another aspect of motherhood that trying to get used to and trying to accept. And it took a while, not saying that I bounced back right away to where like, oh, I accept this is how I'm going to be looking for the rest of my life. Yeah, yeah. And it's just something that us moms have to go through.
Are you still going through it like a year and a half later?
I think it's a lot better.
It's better.
I think I've just learned to accept it, that this is who I am. This is who I am now.
Yeah.
Look at the life that I brought into this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's worth more
Yeah.
than like in our world now, like looking good or like, being how we used to be.
I mean, because everyone's going to be on their own timetable, like their own time frame, right?
Mm-hmm.
When, they get to this place of acceptance and stuff. And, maybe, I don't know, maybe people don't really get over it or they don't, and I think there's some people that I do see, like that I even worked with that they've never gotten over it. And even more like they look at they look at their children with resentment.
Yeah.
And that's sad to me. And if anybody is kind of still fighting that, I think it's important for them to hear that perspective that you have about it. Not to say that, that's going to help them or cure them, whatever. It's knowing that something's worth it.
Yeah, I think it's just having to normalize a lot of stuff about motherhood. There's still stuff that I'm learning, trying to accept. And I think it's just trying to normalize everything about motherhood.
Yeah.
That it's okay to feel this way, but don't let it get you down.
Yeah.
And don't let it take it to the point where you're not happy with your life. But
well, that's one thing I think we talked about in our last podcast together. It was like, seeing things on social media and like how other moms are going through their thing, and you end up comparing yourself to them. What's your strategy on how to deal with that?
I mean, I admit until now, like it's hard not to compare, but just going back to it again, it's like you're your own person. You're not going to be like somebody else. And just trying to be somebody else and trying to fit into what social media, what the world portrays as normal, beautiful.
Yeah.
Just not having to worry about like your physical image, because that's not the most important thing.
It's not.
And just learning that having a kid is a beautiful thing. And yeah, I just think that trying to just talk myself into what's more important in life. And there's always going to be people that have different opinions. You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
So what's the use? Like, you're not living in this world to like prove people wrong or like of course, better yourself, but not trying to compete to where like, oh, I'm better than you. Oh, because I look like this, or this is how my life is. Like, I'm better. And I feel like that's just toxic, and
it is. And it sucks people in.
You go down the rabbit hole of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like my thing, just not having to worry so much about the outside world in that way.
Yeah. Like you said, it's worth it at the end.
Yeah.
You give up your physical body, your form to grow another person. And if you have multiple kids, people have multiple kids, and they give so much of their body. To know that you created a new person on this earth that will experience life, that will love others, that will do good for others.
Exactly.
That's, to me, that's so beautiful. And that is what the world needs. For us to understand that this world's going to live on without us.
Yeah.
And in order for us to continue to spread goodness, is to multiply us and our energy in our life, and have those descendants continue to live on with this kind of perspective and mentality. Yeah. And this heart that we have. I mean, obviously it's no surprise. Like, there's a lot of physical giving, like even breastfeeding and stuff like that. And, and again, no story is perfect. And there's more that people lose, than what you experienced.
Yeah.
To move forward, look, with like other things, like mentally, emotionally, what were other sacrifices that you feel like you want to highlight for moms?
I think a big thing is like the mom guilt. And as a mom, like we said, your life changes, and you sacrifice the time with like friends, family, going out. and just having like your own time. So, and it's like, if you just want to go out, like if I would just want to go out to the store or something, or just to eat out with my cousins, it's like trying to have like that alone, not alone time to where I just want to get away, but just like me time. It's like, is it okay for me to just have this time alone when I could or should be home taking care of my daughter? And I think that's a really big thing right now is with moms. And that happened to me too, where I wasn't like taking fully care of myself because I was worried about Mela and trying to take care of her. And I wasn't like thinking about like my mental health, like how I was feeling, until, you know, like you would ask me like, how are you doing? Yeah, it's overwhelming. So I think it is important to just have that like me time. Like, you know, like when you would go golfing.
Yeah.
Like it's not to just get away from your family, from us, just to like escape. It's just to, you know, like enjoy like your time and like enjoy with friends, family.
Yeah.
And I think that's just one thing, especially with how hard it is being a first time mom. So many emotions and like a roller coaster of emotions. And you just don't know if it's okay to feel that way, and you're down on like yourself for feeling a certain way. Like you miss your own life, like your old life before. And I know that's another thing too, is like missing how life used to be without a kid.
Yeah.
And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if it comes to the point where you miss it so much that you go back to that life and forget about your family and like mess it up, then that's where it becomes a problem. It's okay to, obviously a change, being parents is a big change. So you're not used to it yet, especially in the beginning. And you see like, yeah, your friends, family that don't have kids yet, and they're going out, they're doing whatever they want to do. Like they don't have to worry about anybody else but themselves.
Yeah. Like, damn, must be nice,
It sounds
dude.
nice. Yeah. And it's okay. I feel like it's okay to miss that.
Yeah.
In a way, just where that, yeah, you just remember those times that was like other like happy times, good times in your life. And it's okay to acknowledge it and miss it. But I feel like I draw the line where I'm not gonna like regress back to that, like, and just worry about me.
Yeah.
And I think just there's just so many like aspects of being a mom, and you know, going back to the life you used to have, and feeling guilty about like spending away time from your kid. Especially like me working full time. Yeah, I work 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts. But sometimes I do feel that it's like, should I like just go part time just to spend time with Mela? But I know you don't pressure me to be like, no, we need the money. But I feel like I still want to provide, you know, and we do need it. And
it's funny because we haven't really talked about that directly, but before our previous conversations about it, but I naturally felt that too, where it's like, how can I work more so you don't have to work as much?
Yeah.
Because I do want you to be home a lot more, for Mela especially. Our schedules are different right now, but before we even started talking about that, I was already feeling that too, where it's like, I felt like maybe she wants to be home more. So what the hell am I doing, you know, working this many days a week, and you're working 3 days a week? And it's like, so that in me felt like, all right, what can I do? Should I put more hours in, or should I build something? Should I work harder in this thing so that can eventually be something in the future? Ultimately, how do I get you to not work as much and be home more? I don't know. I felt like that's kind of what you were feeling at that point. I don't know. Were you feeling that?
I was, of course. Like, I'm the type that, of course, I want to spend as much time as I can with Mela, especially when she's just this age.
And me, right? Come on.
Of course.
Okay.
And you too. Well, like, if you're working kind of thing, like, if you're the one who's going to be working more, then it's like, yeah, I'd be home more too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like it's a good balance for right now. I mean, if we have more kids later on, of course, I'd want to be home more. Yeah. But it's not to the point where I'm upset where like, why am I working this much? Yeah. It's not like that at all. Yeah. But yeah, I would want to be like home more, but I feel like it's working out
Yeah,
pretty
and
well.
it has worked out,
Yeah.
like where we haven't needed a babysitter or anything, just like occasionally, like our moms, right?
Yeah.
I think this is like a common problem with a lot of families right now, especially now that everything's kind of opening up. I would say that, you know, with the whole pandemic and the lockdown, it kind of spoiled us a little bit because we were home a lot, you know, during the pandemic. But now that things are opening up and it's almost like getting back to like, I don't know, normal out there, like more things are happening. People are scheduling things like parties and, you know, occasions, events. And I think it's a challenge that everybody's going through where it's like, well, how do you stay home as much as you can, but also be able to provide?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at too, where it's like, all right, this is the type of life that we want. But in order for us to have that type of life, I got to work. We got to work. But if we work too much, then we lose this family time, right? Quality family time. And I think one thing that we've always acknowledged is, you know, when we do have quality family time, we take advantage of that. And we go on, like we call them mini vacations, right? Even if it's to Disneyland for the afternoon to eat, like we're all in on that.
Yeah.
And we pretend like we're on vacation, and it is a vacation. And I think that helps us balance it a little bit more. But it always goes back to that, what we were talking about, the intuition of understanding where everyone's at and just being in tune with each other. And in that moment, what's the best thing that we could do? You know, I feel like that is something, it's a gift to be able to feel the way you feel, but still acknowledge what everyone's going through. Yeah. And I personally think that mothers are so good at putting so much on their plate and still being able to juggle and manage all that. You know, I think back in the day, in like the traditional times, you know, there was a stay-at-home mom. Things are different now, and it is good and okay that you have the opportunities that you have as a nurse, and you work full time. But I remember always asking you, like, well, if you didn't have to work as much, you know, what would you think? And I mean, like, you did acknowledge that, yeah, like spending more time at home would be good.
Yeah.
And it's also because I want you to be home for Mela more also. And, you know, not to demand it, but it's almost like she's different with you.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're here, like, she can't bully me. You know, it's funny. It's freaking hilarious to see how she humbles me.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know me, I'm the type that don't want to take shit from anybody. But literally, like, I'll take shit from this little girl, like an 18-month-old, that, like, she puts me in my place sometimes.
Yeah.
And I learn a lot from that. But when you're home, I definitely see that there is this attachment between a mother and her children. It's undeniable. And for me, it's beautiful to see. And I mean, I only wish that for everybody. I wish that for everybody, for them to feel that joy and love, you know, between like a mother and her children. Yeah. You know, and you know, of course, everybody has their own path in life, and everyone has their own direction. Things happen. We all have different lives. I'm just grateful to witness you becoming a mother, you giving birth to Mela, and the relationship that you guys have now. Yeah. You know, and it's all angles, right? So, you know, if in the future, you know, me and Mela have a quarrel, I know you're gonna be there to be that buffer. If you and Mela have a quarrel, I'm there to be the buffer, because we're all important in this family. Yeah. And we all have a voice, and we all want to work together. You know, and I think that is the most important thing for a family. Yeah. Is for the father and the mother to work together. That there's no one better than the other. Certain times you'll let me lead things. There's other times where I know you need to be the leader in this moment for this situation. Yeah. You're better at this than me, and it's okay. Yeah. It's knowing that balance, not being overbearing, you know. And I'll admit that's something I'm trying to learn. Yeah. I'm still trying to learn that, because, you know, the type of people that we were, it's like you take control of your life with God's grace, you know, with that faith on your back. I'm charging forward. I'm learning to put the sword down sometimes now, and just accepting things as the way they are. And I don't have control over a lot of things anymore. Yeah. And I mean, I thank you for that. I'm grateful that you allow me to understand and learn these things, to become the king that I want to be for our family, for our kingdom. I mean, I guess my last question or topic would be, what hopes do you have? What are your hopes for Amela and our future children, if we're blessed with more? What are your hopes for them?
I mean, raising Mela now, it's trying to show her and teach her like good morals and our values. Even like we pray, and I think that's like the cutest thing that we do, like when we wake up and before going to bed. Like she just like kneels in front of the altar or like sits down. Yeah. But I think just trying to just teach her and let her know that she can be who she wants to be, but at the same time to have that respect for people, like how we live and like what we've learned growing up, and just to kind of pass that down to her, and just to let her know that that she's not alone in anything, and that she can always look to us and come to us for anything, whether she's in trouble, whether she needs advice, or, just wants to just talk. And like, with you, what I've learned with you is you have like good communication skills. And that's something that
you keep saying that, dude. I suck at communicating though.
I mean, obviously, when we argue, you're the one who wants to like talk about it more.
We have to.
Yeah. And that's why. So I feel like I want her to be open with us. Yeah. About anything and everything. Yeah. And even like our future kids, just stuff that we've learned growing up and that you've learned from your family and stuff that I've learned from my family growing up. And
and I don't want to take credit for like who we are, right? Like we are who we are because of our families and the way we were raised. Our parents raised us a certain way. Yeah. And I mean, for one thing, communication wasn't a strong suit always for me. Like, but it was my parents that always made it a point to talk things out. Yeah. And I learned later on that that's probably the best strategy, to never sleep on a problem. Yeah. Especially if it's in your home. You can't go to sleep with a quarrel between you and your siblings, or you and your spouse, or you and like your parent. Have the difficult conversation. It sucks, but you know what? This is your home, and you have to protect that energy. You have to protect that vibe in your home. And that's definitely one of the family values that my family brought with me, and we're applying in our family. Yeah. To be open. Yeah. And I think also, with like our culture, with my family, like just one like simple example is just that respect. Like when you go to a party, like a family party, you don't just like us, like grandchildren, us younger ones, we wouldn't just walk in and just go to the food. Like we have to say hi to everybody. And like kiss, bless, like anything. It's like rude if you don't. So, just like, and like that's some of the examples that we're teaching Mela that we've learned from our own family. Yeah. And that we would want to pass on to our like future kids, Yeah, it's just pretty much. I mean, we can go so much further, obviously. And what's something that you want to leave mothers with, if they listen to this? That you're not alone. I know that's like as cliche as it is, but whatever you're going through, it's normal. Don't feel bad that if you're going through something, if you're tired, if you're not like loving your life right now, like not saying that it's going to get easier or better or harder, but that in time you'll figure it out. The Queen's Gambit is ultimately the sacrifice that you give as a mother. Yeah. And I want to acknowledge that it goes further than people think. And I'm thankful for you, babe. I'm thankful for all mothers out there. It is worth it. It is. Whether you believe it or not, whether people tell you or not, just know that it affects people more than you know. Yeah. Thanks for coming back on, babe. Thanks for having me again. Is Mela waking up? Yeah, she's waking up. All right, let's go.